What's up, guys? We're back with another Masters of the Universe Origins review, taking a look at the latest deluxe pack, multi-pack, 2-pack, whatever we're going to call this thing. It is the Battlefield Warriors Powerful Protectors of Eternia set that has Battle Armor He-Man and Battle Cat. So there's a lot of battle going on with this particular set, and it's kind of a weird one because in a very MOTU fashion, it is stuff we've already gotten shoved into a 2-pack, but these are different. So Battle Cat has battle damage to further the battle theme, and Battle Armor He-Man is not the same figure. He's got different deco this time around, and you know, accessories are a little bit changed up, and this pack in general has a Castle Grayskull style stand, and we've got the little gargoyle guys for Castle Grayskull. Yes, both of them are in there. One of them came loose in my box. And speaking of the box, I mean, this thing is massive. It is humongous. It's incredibly long. It's awkward to hold on camera, for one, but it is amazing to look at. Just like everything else in this line, the packaging is just as big of a thing as the figures itself. So, you know, we've got them here in the standard but extended style pack for one of these bigger sets. So you've got the figures there in the window. You've got this great artwork on the top with He-Man and Battle Cat, Castle Grayskull in the background. You've got the little dinosaur gargoyle dudes here on the side panel. And then on this side, we've got the Frogman, the mythic Frogman from like the Castle Grayskull dungeon. And then on the back, you've got just this incredible spread with He-Man on Battle Cat. You've got Faker on his, Duplicat is what that guy's name is. Skeletor on Panther, and just an amazing battle spread. Battle again. And then we've got, of course, the very vintage-inspired instructions. You've got a cross-sell for Castle Grayskull, the Wind Raider, and then some of the more recent and upcoming figures, including the best He-Man, Stinkor. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's pull these guys out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package, our deluxe 2-pack Battle Armor He-Man and Battle Cat. Of course, these are 2 figures, 2 toys that we've already gotten really recently. I mean, Battle Cat was among the earliest of toys in Origins, and Battle Armor He-Man has been around for a little while. This set, though, of course, is very much, in many ways, an homage to the vintage gift sets. I mean, the artwork on this particular box is an homage to a vintage box set. So there's a lot that kind of pays tribute to the history of Masters, which is very much the hallmark of this line. And there's a lot going on in this set. The one thing that I keep coming back to on this one is price, because this thing is $50. But there's probably $50 worth of stuff here outside of the fact that these are just repaints in many ways. We get a $25 cat, we get a $20 deluxe figure, and we get extra stuff. And this guy comes with stuff in some ways that the regular deluxe Battle Armor He-Man doesn't come with. So there is a lot in here. Let's do them individually. I want to talk about He-Man and specifically compare him to that first deluxe Battle Armor He-Man, because there is one glaring difference here. And then we will get to our armored feline. Now, for the uninitiated, we might as well go ahead and run through articulation just to be thorough. So we've got a head that can swivel, looks down, looks up, got some tilt side to side as well. We've got our arms that will go out at the shoulders. They do rotate all the way around. You've got a single jointed rotating elbow, and then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. We've got a waist twist. Legs that go out about this far. I mean, it's not the splits or anything, but it's pretty good. And then they will kick forward, but you've kind of got to rotate them a little bit. And, well, you can see we've got sword dropping action as well. But they only go so far, just based on the design of these legs. You get them to kick about that far. You've got a single jointed rotating knee. You've got boot rotation, shin swivel. And then we've got rocker, which is really good, and you've got some really solid hinges down at those ankles. So, I mean, he is par for the course when it comes to the line in general, but it's a very much an amalgamation of the vintage aesthetic and vintage articulation coupled with modern articulation. Sort of falls in between super articulated modern figures and what the vintage line offered in terms of its rather minimal approach. Now, as far as the aesthetics go, this is where I just really want to compare figures, because they are very similar. This is our first deluxe release, so a standard figure but with a little bit more is kind of what the deluxe is in this line. He's got an action feature and he has a few more accessories. So this is what he looks like straight out of the box, and then this is what our new battle damage battle armor He-Man looks like straight out of the box. There are a number of similarities between the two, but there are some very, very key differences. Obviously, the big thing right out the gate, vac metal. So this guy has very much in the way that we would get in the vintage line, you've got like a vac metal look on this particular figure, and I think it looks fantastic. It's incredibly lustrous. I mean, obviously that's what it does. I mean, it's just like beaming under my lights right now. It still retains the action feature, but it does have that vac metal finish, and it just looks so much better. This is very much a vintage homage, a vintage tribute to what you would have expected to kind of see on stuff like this in the 80s, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Paint on it is still really good as far as like the Battle Armor H. It's pretty clean and crisp, and like I said, he does still have the action feature, so you can hit it once and you'll get one strike. You hit it, well, again, there you go, and you'll get two, and then you can you roll it all the way back up and you can reset him to default. So he still has the same action feature, which I think is fantastic. I'm glad that that isn't an issue with this new finish that they've got on here. And then of course you've got a different head sculpt. So this is a very vintage inspired head. This figure comes with a vintage head. It's just not on him in the box. So here's the one he comes with. It's pretty much the same thing. Though, of course, another difference between these two, outside of the fact that they have different head sculpts, so this is how he looks in the box, this is how he looks in the box, this one has all this sort of battle damage on it. And it's the one thing I could probably take or leave, on this. It's like I'm not so sure I'm sold on it just yet. It's fine, but at the same time, I'm not sure I was really clamoring for this. So He-Man, of course, has been in the throes of battle, so he's got these like swipes of, I mean, obviously they're blood, but they really just look like he's got paint on him, which is what it literally is. So he's got some on his arm, he's got some on his leg, and then he's got a sort of a cut on his face. It does make the figure quite unique, and he's going to stand out amongst a lot of other figures, and certainly next to this one. I think it's kind of, it's just kind of wonky. It's just there, and there's really no, I don't know, there isn't much importance to this battle damage or blood. It's just sort of swipe some paint on him and you're done. So it's a cool idea, maybe not sold entirely on the execution. The big key difference with this figure is the torso, is the finish, is the color, that shine, that chrome. It's amazing. Everything else really is the same. I mean, he's got the same sort of skin tone, loincloth, gauntlets, as far as the furry boots. And then, of course, there are a few little differences when it comes to accessories. So as far as that goes, for He-Man himself, he has a full arsenal. So you've got your battle axe, which can be put on his back, obviously. We've got his shield, but we've also got a power sword. This is a full power sword though, so we're very much used to getting half swords in this line so far, but this is a full-on power sword. I will say I am a little bummed that they're not vac metal and that they're not chromed out like the torso is. I feel like it would tie the figure together and it would make these accessories a lot more unique if they were chromed out also. It's not a deal breaker. Your mileage may vary on that. It's not a deal breaker for me, but I wish it was done. I think that would have made things a lot cooler. But I am really happy that we do get a full-on power sword and I don't have to worry about, forcing two halves together, because that is, of course, what this guy came with. He has just the half sword. He has an axe, but this one doesn't come with a shield. This one doesn't come with a shield. He does, however, come with this goofy effect, which I really don't like because it's just so big. You can use it. I think it works a little bit better on our new one because it is a sturdier, more rigid and thick sword, so it's not going to sort of take over because this is a really heavy energy effect, so it might work a little better on this guy. And then the other things are that this guy has different hand loadouts, basically. So you've got two gripping hands on this one in the box, and then he comes with his open palm hand as the extra. This guy has the open palm on him in the box, and he comes with the gripping hand as the extra as well. And then to round it all out, he does come with a different head sculpt that sort of goes along the lines of this one. So our new He-Man comes with this guy here. It is kind of like a crossover almost of a vintage head with sort of what's going on with some of this aesthetic as well. But he's sort of screaming, and he's got a windswept look too, which I actually really, really like. This is going to go really good when he's actually riding on Battle Cat. So it's a little bit different, but I think I like it overall. Just design execution, I think it works pretty well. So this is our set of Battle Armor He-Men, really. There's a lot to like about this one, but there is no doubt in my mind that this is the one to get. If you're only going to get one, it's this one. He's got the awesome, feature for the action feature there. He's got the chrome. He's got the blood on him if you need it. If you don't really want that, you could, of course, pop out all those parts if you have another He-Man and give him a clean look and go along that route, or use your regular Battle Armor He-Man accessories and parts to make a non-battle damaged chromed out Battle Armor He-Man. But I think this is for sure the more complete version with the just obviously cooler aesthetic. Now, as far as Battle Cat goes, this is again another repaint, and it is literally a repaint in every respect, which is why I find this kind of weird that we're still getting a Battle Cat again so soon, because he is not hard to find. I could walk in any store in town and they're going to have way too many cats on the shelf. So this is gonna be an interesting one to see how well this sells. As far as articulation goes, we'll do this real quick. Head up and down, and then you've got pivot side to side. Mouth, of course, opens, which I do love on this particular figure. You've got your legs that kick forward. You've got your swiveling knees, and then they also hinge as well. There is no ankle articulation on this guy, which I know is kind of a sticking point for some folks. We do have our swivel at the back. You've got your hinge at the knee as well. It just hinges in a different direction, basically. And then we've got our hinge and rotation at the tail as well. So pretty standard stuff. I mean, it certainly beats the statue that the original Battle Cat was. He's not super articulated, but he gets the job done for the most part, and you can get him into some decent poses. But he is still a little bit more limited in some ways than, say, the normal figures in this line, mostly because he doesn't really have anything down at the ankles. Now, as far as the overall look and aesthetics for Battle Cat goes, he is incredibly different, while, if it makes any sense, not taking much to make him different. It's kind of small things, but it's enough to make this a very unique Battle Cat compared to our original. So we've got the original on the left, the new one on the right, and to start with, I mean, they are essentially the same thing. Figure is exactly the same, armor is exactly the same as far as functionality and sculpt. It really comes down to color, saturation, and then of course finish, and then he's also got the battle damage too. So you've got the removable armor, same as before. It's a finish difference though. So you've got the more matte look that is very vintagey on our original here from Wave 1, and then our 2-pack deluxe is a slightly metallic. You might have to get like really close on it to really notice, but there is sort of a shine and a sparkle to this, but it's really deep red by comparison, and of course it's super glossy, so you can see that it is it's just sort of lighting up. I guess it's sort of to play off of the idea that the Battle Armor He-Man that he comes with is also really shiny, so this kind of ratchets that up a little bit for him. You can of course remove the helmet, remove the armor, and you can just have, Cringer under there, sort of. I mean, it's not really Cringer, but you get the idea. And then you have this green tiger, and the greens are not exactly the same. They're not super different, but they're not exactly the same. I feel like this one is just a shade or two darker than our Wave 1, and then of course he has all of the battle damage all over him. So in the same way that He-Man just sort of has some swipes of paint on him, that's essentially what this is too. And the one like kind of paint issue that I had with Battle Cat to begin with is that his stripes are kind of splotchy in some ways, and the battle damage also suffers from that as well. So there's like some holes in this blood over here. So he's okay and he's not okay at the same time. I'm not a big fan of it. It does make him different, and I'm happy with the fact that he's easily differentiated on the shelf. But at the same time, it's just kind of a wonky variant and paint change. And then beyond that, there are slight differences in the actual tiger stripes on him too. I feel like one of my criticisms from this one was sort of fixed a little bit on this one, because the head, the paint on the face and on the neck is a little bit more solid and just a little bit more opaque, I suppose, rather than being kind of splotchy. They're kind of thin here, these stripes in particular, and they're just a little bit better. So it's not a huge game changer kind of thing, but they are a little bit different. So yeah, it's not a night and day difference like if you have those two He-Man standing next to each other, where you've got that big shining beacon armor on him, but this guy is different enough to be a unique battle cat on your shelf if you want to have a very specific version of him. So you've got your battle damage, you've got slight color palette changes, and then you've got your armor finish difference, which I think is probably the big thing for me, and that kind of rounds him out as being his own unique battle cat, but still being, I mean, let's face it, very, very similar to the original. And then last but not least, we do get a few other sort of oddball accessories with this particular set that, again, just beef it up enough so that it doesn't seem like it's entirely just repaint stuff. So like I mentioned, you know, we've got a $25 cat, we've got a $20 figure. This set is $50, but they do give you some stuff to sort of ratchet it up and make it different, not just the fact that He-Man has that crazy chrome armor. So to start with, we get these little guys here. So you get two of these little dinosaur guys, kind of like gargoyles almost. They are meant to scale your Castle Grayskull, and they are sculpted in such a way that they sort of will. It's not the greatest. I still don't think that it's that practical. Implementation of it leaves a little bit to be desired, but you can get them there sort of scaling like the turrets of Castle Grayskull. So you've got one little dinosaur dude, and then you've got another one that has wings on it as well. So they're just sort of little, they call them gargoyles on the box, with little red. They've got a little bit of paint on them with the eyes, but they're just meant to sort of scale the turrets and be just another little thing on top of your Grayskull, which I think is a cool idea. It's just, I don't know, in practice it's kind of odd. And then we've got this right here. So we will pick them up and put them on. So we get this guy right here. So this is a stand, basically, that is meant to, in many ways, mimic Castle Grayskull because of its sort of look and finish here when it comes to being like sort of the green Grayskull bricks. It's two pieces, you have to put it together, but it's a big honking piece of plastic here. You've got sort of mounds of rocks and boulders, and it has that same sort of speckled finish that Castle Grayskull does as well. It doesn't really have any place that it specifically locks into the playset or anything like that. It's very much its own thing, but it's going to go well alongside Grayskull at the same time. So I do like it. I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely going to make Battle Cat, this particular one anyway, look a little bit more unique because he is, I mean, he's on something. So it's not the most important piece in the box by any means, but it definitely does add a little bit more value to the set by having, I mean, what is really like a, you know, almost like a foot-long stand for him to be placed upon and just give him a little bit more pop and circumstance almost. So yeah, this is a pretty solid set. It's really fun is really what it comes down to. Is there's a lot of play value in this particular set, especially if by chance this happens to be getting purchased for a kid. Obviously, I'm not a child, but you get the idea here. You've got Battle Cat, you've got He-Man, you literally have the two things that are probably among the most important for people to have is He-Man and his cat. And I think this is a really solid set, especially if you don't already have Battle Armor He-Man. This is the way to go. If you don't have both, it's certainly the way to go. And then you get the little dragon guys, you get the cool stand on top of that, which, while that stuff maybe isn't all that important, it adds a little bit more oomph and just fun to this set by giving you more bang for your buck. If it was just these two figures, I would say that they're charging too much money for it. This at least sort of pads it out and gives you a little bit extra on top of stuff that you might already have, but it sort of sweetens the deal when it comes to rebuying stuff like we are one to do. So that is going to do it for this look at the Deluxe Battle Armor He-Man and Battle Cat 2-pack. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.